Welcome back, guys, to the Heroes of the Storm EU Spring Regional here. This is day 2, our final day, and we're going to close out the group right here, right now, to decide our last team in the semifinals. I am Wolf. With me is Dreadnought. How do you feel about that last draft we just watched?
Kalaris definitely was in my mind a little bit when it came to the Vala pickup. It was something that I was kind of questioning whether or not they were going to go with. I really think the thought process behind that is based around the Uther, though. But we are going to be getting in the game here. We are going to see that we have Team Liquid is going to have Lowell on the Sonya. Chris is going to be playing that Greyman. Gerdem Herd is going to be on the Uther. Yuva is going to be playing Johanna, and Shad will be on the Falstad.
And for Virtus.Pro, Zavgaja is going to be on Tassadar, Neon on Vala. Power of Dream will be playing Thrall. Lunarn will be playing that Rhaegar yet again, and BKB on Stitches. So our very first map will be Tomb of the Spiderqueen, and on the left side, in blue, we have Team Liquid. And on the right side of the map, in red, it is Virtus.Pro.
Giving us a little bit of that B-step there, I actually really enjoy that. The pre-game ritual is something a lot of teams actually practice. One we used to do back in Temple Storm is we would actually concentrate on having one person in the middle and everybody do a dance around them. A little bit of a mount work there, but I don't know if that was going to be the case here. These teams definitely practicing hard to try and walk away with a big win here, but right out the gates, talking about the level 1s and kind of the 1-4 rotation, right? Typically on this map, we see that you send a solo laner on bottom, you send 4 people to move between mid and top, mainly because of the lane setups. Bottom's the safest here.
So which team would you really give the advantage to when it comes to wave clear? Virtus.Pro has Tassadar, they have Vala. Do you think they can actually push those lanes and get ahead as a result? Is that their best game plan here in the early game?
I think they definitely have the better wave clear, but it doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be able to win the early game. The Team Liquid, it's not that they lack in wave clear by any means. They definitely have what it takes, but I feel like they're going to be avoiding the 1-4 a little bit just because I don't feel like they have nearly as much kill potential. They only have wave clear, really, until it gets later into the match. So for the first part, I feel like they're going to be playing a little bit more passive.
A bit of a little aggressive condemn there by Yuva, but nothing going to come of it. Zavgaja taking a bit of damage here. We'll just rotate back, and you know they're going to go back into lanes and soak. A very even game here so far. No real advantages with EXP. This is of course the solo lane down here, and Power of Dream actually beating Lowell up pretty aggressive here, actually taking a lot of his health down. He's probably going to have to tap.
Yeah, that's going to be a big advantage for him. The self-sustain that he provides over there is really an advantage when it comes out of one-on-one. Also, keep in mind, when we see Virtus.Pro here in this 4-man rotation, actually Hook coming out, Shad getting a lot of damage. He's going to go down very early there. Really good pickup on the side. BKB with that hook. But what I was touching up on a little bit is that their wave clear I actually think is better, but if they don't concentrate their cooldowns onto the wave, obviously they're going to struggle with it because that Johanna condemn with that Night Takes Pawn. And if they use the spells for kills like they just did there, if they actually get the kill potential, it's a really high value trade for Virtus.Pro.
And every time we see these big shield glares come out as well, it's a blind on 4 members in a tight lane like this. It's going to hit everybody. You've actually getting big slows dropped onto him. He will actually rotate back and most likely tap here. But the level advantage is slightly in favor of Virtus.Pro. They are going to get their level 4 talents just a little bit faster, but so far, just a pretty even game. We're seeing mostly these trades up in the 4v4 lane.
Oh, but the hook on Chris is going to be almost enough there. They didn't have the kill potential, sadly, possibly not getting enough damage out there. They do end up spiking to level 4 here at this time. We do see Vala actually going with the full W build. I really like that decision-making. If they were to look for the Vala over the Jaina in the draft as they did, I think that is the proper build that they should be speccing into, so really good job there. And both these teams, again, just running the 1-4 as best they can. Virtus.Pro looking for the kill potential, where Liquid just constantly looking to wave clear and kind of ignore them, focusing on the turn-in.
So how happy are you, Dread, about the lack of the totem opening here for Rhaegar?
I definitely like the lack of totem. Honestly, I don't mind. Oh, wow, that Yuva dodging a really big hook without Iron Skin. That was definitely going to be his life here. And I'm actually impressed with the amount of kill potential you see on the VP so far. I didn't think they would do this well with their only Stitches, essentially their only engage. I didn't think they would have this much threat on them. But meanwhile, Team Liquid getting really aggressive on the Thrall in the bottom half. There is no hard CC here, though, so he's going to pop a Z and just walk away.
Smart rotation, though, as you see Sonya's getting low, so maybe Thrall gets a bit too aggressive there, and good reaction as well, not overextending. which has kind of been a theme in some of these earlier matches in the group stage with the solo lane of just trying to grab that solo kill and getting punished hard. So good rotations there. And right now, a huge advantage in turn-in gems here for Virtus.Pro. They're actually going to try to grab one. TaskStar are going to have to phase shift away. Yuva up at the front zoning. And I don't think they're going to be able to get that turn-in just yet.
And one of those things you were talking about, right, when concerning like the 1-4 is that when you run the 1-4, if the 4-man is winning, you're essentially controlling one turn-in. Oh, TaskStar getting a little bit out there, but he is going to be able to E away. He still actually, I believe, has it up. Hook coming down from BKB is the response. Not going to be enough. The wave clear is already done inside of VP. They are going to win this rotation as well. They're one gem away. But that's all because of their winning the 4-man, right? If you win the 4-man rotation and you're going even on bottom, you're essentially denying the top turn-in while zoning off the bottom there. So bottom is the only place that really Liquid can turn in, and if they do that, they have to articulate their rotation very obviously to where it's no secret they're turning in. So VP getting the early one here, this is huge for their comp.
You know, it's definitely going to allow them to push that EXP advantage into getting 10 first. Yuva again taking a lot of damage here. Oh, the hook is good, actually. And there goes the Stone Skin. Will escape. But I believe as well is on cooldown, so he's going to have to go back, which means this push can be a lot more powerful. So
this is terrifying. You're losing the bottom lane on the side of Team Liquid. You're also losing the 4-man, and they already have a turn-in on your opponents, especially how convincing bottom lane has been doing so far. This is a situation where normally the first turn-in this early, not going to gain that much, but now they're going to be walking away with most likely 1, maybe 2 front walls here, especially if a hook goes down. It might be the end of a life for Team Liquid. So they need to be very, very careful with their next couple of seconds of how they play it. Otherwise, VP might be getting a large lead.
Yeah, absolutely the case. As you can see, the Love Beavers basically cleaned up now. Oh, they might grab this well if Power Dream goes for it. There's the big spider shadow. I don't know what that spell's called exactly, but it will kill the well with Power of Dream, and that's important. Losing these wells when you're still at the point where we're not seeing big team fights just yet means you have to recall a lot more, which means that you're essentially losing time in lane.
That's going to be one dead boat. That's huge. If they zone off the gems here, this is colossal. That was 22 gems on the bottom half of the map. That's one of their zoning responses. They're trying to make it happen. You see Uther then moving in, getting the cap. That was pretty big to pick up some of the gems. I feel like if VP had been way more aggressive on that deny, that's 20 gems is huge. When you lose the first turn-in and then you deny that many, the counter turn-ins past that point, limited with a 1-level disadvantage, that honestly is a snowballed game for VP so heavily. That was a huge play potential right there.
And even regardless of the fact that they didn't deny those gems, they at least got a fort.
Yeah.
And that pushes them very, very close again here to level 10 and getting those heroics. Shad is going to try to grab this turn. It looks like there's no one to deny, so Team Liquid will get their first Web Weavers, which is very important, of course, because without them, they would be totally behind in EXP. There's no way they'd be able to compete with the next team fight.
But it's one of those situations where we're going to see Virtus.Pro hit 10. These Web Weavers aren't going to do anything. They can't push with them at all because they don't have 10. There comes out the Thunder. That's going to be one dead bird. Thunder Chicken going to be falling down. Falstead going to be falling away, not be able to survive. Now you're down a man, down your level 10. Now you're going to gain legitimately 0 things. You just wasted 50 gems. That is the worst. Honestly, other than like getting zoned off of the gems on bottom, this is worst case scenario if you're Team Liquid. Yeah. They've been losing on all fronts so far this game.
And without these heroics, they're not going to be able to really push with these Web Weavers either. So it's not going to be
Bile coming out.
Big Bile here. Not a commitment to the engage, but what do you think about TaskStar going Archon in this situation?
I don't actually know. I'm a little bit torn on it. So this is a situation where I do feel like the DPS is struggling a little bit on the side of Virtus.Pro, so I kind of understand the logic of implementing an Archon, right? But at the same time, you drafted Vala and less damage already, so I feel like if you adjusted the draft, you didn't need to do that. And when we consider Virtus.Pro's comps, they are walking Sunder and Hook. That's their only 2 forms of engage. If they had Force Wall, they had a little bit more pick opportunities as this game went on. And so I get it because I think they need damage, but I only think they need damage because possibly a draft misplay. Yep. So I do like the pickup. I just feel like it is going to hurt on their potential to kind of push this lead harder and harder. They do have 71 gems to be turning in here, and it looks like nobody's going to be contesting. Another turn in their advantage of them. If they are able to get a couple more structures, this is almost an unreturnable lead on the side of Virtus.Pro, playing this very, very well here.
Looks like they may want to try to pick a fight here. Team Liquid just now getting their heroics at this moment, which is important, of course, to help deny. We do see all the heroics, the normal ones being taken here. Gust is active, and Sevkaja may actually go down to it. He's going to have to defensively Archon here. There's the follow-up, Blessed Shield, and down he goes. That's an early pick here. Down goes the Sundering onto Shad as well, but definitely a good positioning here for Team Liquid.
So the longer that VP is able to keep him here, the better, because the Web Weaver's pushing in all the lanes. Keep in mind, the Thunder being used, it's not going to be able to gain that much They're also really close to safety. I would like to see BKB and friends be able to try and maybe zone their rotations a little bit, but getting picked when you have the map objective up for your team is definitely one of the steps Team Liquid needs to make to come back in this game. Also pushing towards the late game. That Gray Main's power spike at 16 is huge.
That it is. We're going to see this fort go down here in the mid lane as well. And we do see Lunarn actually a bit out of position, does avoid that condemn, which is important. And Yuva actually really committing here, but eating a ton of damage. We're going to see this Gust knock VP back into the turrets. It's not going to matter though. Lunarn's self-healing, and this is just too much damage onto Team Liquid.
No, that all was walking into bile. Honestly, Stitch is doing an absurd amount of damage in that team fight. I feel like they were trying to force that until it was 4 versus 5, and then realizing that, Tassidar's back up. He's going to be flanking, getting a lot of damage out here. And keep in mind, losing a team fight again with the web weavers up, gaining structures absolutely everywhere. Virtus.Pro now securing a 2-level lead and a talent tier advantage. They don't have necessarily the best siege composition though. If they do overcommit a little too much, they might be able to be punished.
Yeah, Yuva has actually been usually the initiator here for Team Liquid, always up at the front trying to hit those condemns, but now 2 giant killers on the talents, plus of course the fact that we have follow through on Thrall for that extra damage means really needs to be careful. He needs to have his team behind him if he's going to jump in the front like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, when we were looking at the draft here, I had quite a bit of confidence on Team Liquid's draft. I feel like they allowed for a little bit too much kill potential in the early half, and now they're at the point where they are so far behind. It is very much a game that they can come back from, but it's going to be needing to play a lot more clean than we've seen kind of when it came to the early game.
So we do see these Mercs down the bot lane are taken. With a recall coming up, they're going to grab more mana for this next defense of the Web Weavers.
So one thing I would really like to touch up on is we were talking about Jaina kind of versus Vala argument here, and one of the things that typically you see with the Vala pickup and what they were looking for is once the hook comes in, right? We were talking about how they only have hook, they only have Sunder as kind of the engage now that they've gone with Archon, but at 13, Vala goes Giant Killer, not Frost Shots here. Again, taking away from not only their engage, but kill potential, the hooks being maybe a little bit less valuable depending on the target, but Rhaegar might be getting caught out.
Relord actually getting caught. There's a defensive sundering here, and a big Gust pushing them again away. And Neon up here at the front actually going to dive in and use his heroic. Shad does get over that wall and escape. So both teams basically trading heroics here, no kills. Yeah,
but that was definitely a lost trade on the side of Virtus.Pro with a level lead there. Getting engaged on, not able to force the fight. Archon is still a very, very long cooldown for his team. But again, maybe a little bit, I feel like you're going to see in this game, there's going to be a lot of major cooldowns burnt on the side of Virtus.Pro, and it's just going to be a Gust. And because they have legitimately 0 engage post a hook after that point, there's just, I don't see how Liquid forces a fight where all the ultimates are kind of burnt on the side of Virtus.Pro. If they fight into Archon, they'll have a hard time, but Gust will prevent that.
Another hook goes down onto Yuva again, and every time Shad has just been knocking them away using these defensive Gusts. I like how they are utilizing these Gusts just to make sure that these fights don't get out of control. Doesn't mean they have a lot of potential to use Gust, of course, to engage because it's always on cooldown, but it's one of the tools that I think Europe is really utilizing a lot, and why I'm surprised sometimes that we see Falside go so late in the draft, because every team is liking to play him right now, and sometimes he's the make or break hero in these team fights.
Meanwhile, on the upper half, Chris has no tools to actually dodge here, but the hook's gonna come out. They don't have very much follow-up CC, but it's gonna be enough. All it took was one. Thrall with the W is gonna be secure. He might even try and Sunder at this point to try and force this team. Yuva getting very out of position here. This might cost him his life. Iron Skin gonna be popped, but guess what? When you force the fight without Gust and give Virtus.Pro what they want, they're gonna take all that they can. They don't have enough for a turn, and they will in only a couple of waves here, and that's gonna be the 16 spike, almost a 3-level lead.
Yeah, nearly 16 now, of course, and Team Liquid needs to kind of sit back, defend Turtle here. One of the problems, of course, with their comp on this map is the wave clear isn't as good as Virtus.Pro's, so when a push comes out, it's tough for them to sit back and just absorb that EXP. So, you know, this advantage for Virtus.Pro is nearly, if they win the next team fight like that or get another trade, going to give them a 3-level lead. I mean, they have enough for a turn in here.
That's
BKB is just uncontested.
I feel like at this point, Virtus.Pro has to push mid keep. They have 16 tier advantage here. You see him even going aggressive here. Archon has not been popped, but Gust has been used. So this is huge. This is going to be a team fight that Liquid can no longer take at this point, I don't think. They just don't have the damage here. Lowell getting very poked down. I don't know if it's enough.
Shad on the other side of things as well. Gust being down here, a big problem. He has to go ahead and barrel roll away. And here come the Web Weavers. Mid lane, like you said, insanely far pushed. They can easily force a keep here, I would say. And they just hit level 16.
Yeah, that 16 spike is so terrifying. The other Web Weavers getting stalled halfway through the lane is not going to be nearly as effective. But with how big of a lead Virtus.Pro has, they're honestly probably going to look to fight or at least get the keep and then rotate to another one. This advantage is big enough that one keep is not all that we're worried about here. This enough picks could even be game.
big Sundering going down onto Shad, and he will be blown up immediately. And that may just be the last nail in the coffin here, as TL does not have any disengage now with his Gust, just simply offline because he's dead.
Yeah, and the hook's coming out there. Yuva is actually getting picked. The D shield coming out. Oh my goodness.
With the Divine Shield going down here, it's now off cooldown as well, so that's less for them to use to defend. Virtus.Pro looks like instead of trying to continue to go for picks here, they are going to rotate up to the top lane.
I love it.
And they still have Ancestral. They still have Bile. They still have Archon online, so they can continue to use those if things go sour in a fight.
I mean, they have all these really big tools here, and without the 16-tier advantage on the side of Liquid, they don't have many answers. They looks like they're posturing for a boss here. I actually like this play. Actually, not even. They're going to try and back out completely, not committing to it. All right. You do see Liquid actually sensing that, thinking that they are at the boss there, trying to stop them. But essentially, with that back, they're posturing to maybe deny a turn-in. I just want to see them abuse the fact that they have 16-tier advantage for a very long time over their opponents. Not getting boss, not getting keeps. It just seems a little bit too passive.
I think you're right on the turn-in idea. I think, well, this is a risky boss. This actually could just cost them the game, but they have to do something risky.
I agree. I think they have to make a bold move.
Let's see if this actually works. Here comes Virtus.Pro. They obviously know, with everybody missing, this is the play. Gerdam Herod in the front here in good positioning, but that Sundering is incredibly powerful. Chris at the back is getting destroyed by the boss. Lowell very low here as well, and with Uther trying to desperately heal everybody, TL has to disengage, but this may be too much. This may end up being a wipe.
Yeah, with the keep up, it might not be game quite yet, though. Yuva is going to be falling down. Oh, another pick there. Power, honestly, Power Dreams has actually been ruining this entire game. Pretty good Sunders for the most part. His laning dominance over Lowell was huge to the success of their composition in the early game. He's definitely done really well here. They don't have enough for a turn-in. This will lead to most likely a keep minimum, depending on how many picks are up for VP, but I don't know if they're going to be able to secure the game without a couple more kills.
Yeah, the other thing, too, is with that, with those lost gems, Team Liquid no longer has the ability to do a turn-in. They're at 46 currently, so they can't actually go over and turn it in. So Virtus.Pro knows that that's not something they have to even worry about right now. They can continue to focus on pushing, and they're going to grab this keep easily here with the support of the boss.
Absolutely, and the siege up here, they're looking to get as much damage before the boss even moves in. Honestly, I feel like this shows that they're posturing for a core here. I wouldn't be surprised if they move in. Even if they wipe, honestly, they have big enough lead that it's not going to be the game. They have all forts up. They have nothing to worry about here if you're VP.
All right, it's important to make sure that no one gets picked. Sundering, of course, is right now off cooldown. That's going to be the way to engage. The Gust is already used, which is actually terrifying here for TL. And here we go. Here's the engage. Already a ton of damage being put onto Shad. He's up at the back doing what he can. Sonya is actually in the Hall of Storms, and they are just going to go for the core.
Absolutely, and they're actually really, really stacked, and they aren't getting punished for it that well. VP, it doesn't matter. They have the composition to walk it in, and they walk away with game number 1 in a situation where I think a majority of the people felt Liquid had the dominating draft. Virtus.Pro goes, no, we're going to grab this game from the level 1, and we're never going to let go of it.
Yeah, that was essentially just, I feel like, one thing to really highlight in Virtus.Pro's play there is how when they had an advantage, they never took too much of a risk.
Yes.
Like, they were willing to just say, we could win the game here, but let's not push the issue too hard. Let's actually play it safe.
I absolutely agree. A prime example of what we might have seen that yesterday, I feel like Fnatic was a team that at times got that lead and was very much like, we're going to push our lead. Awesome. Trying to min-max as best as you possibly can, but then when you try and max a little bit too much, end up giving up what was like a 2-level lead to now a 1-level lead, and that's the kind of stuff at the professional level that if you do that one too many times, you go from 100% win to just losing the game.
Well, guys, we are going to throw back over to the analyst desk in just a moment here as the analysts get ready to talk about that game, but I really feel like going into that second game, we may have to see just a little bit more, I would say, patience out of Liquid. Is that what you're thinking might be part of the issue here? Because some of these gauges actually caused them to lose picks. We saw the Sunderings go down, and that was oftentimes what the problem was.
Yeah, I think it's not only patience. I think one thing is understanding the dynamic of the map. I feel like their draft wasn't concentrated on the map that they were going to play, more overall team fighting. But we do, in fact, have our analysts here ready to talk about this game, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to send it over to Katowice and the rest of the guys.
Thank you.